live.
Definitely. I just want you to look at this trailer. It's a trailer of, it's actually a documentary done by our very own Fahmo Mohamed. She is legit. You need to watch this trailer, alafu mcheki for your own, mtuambie feedback hapo hivyo #YouthCafe. Sisi yao.
Just 267 kilometers north of Garissa town lies a community of about 26,000 residents, most of whom work as pastoralists, hawkers, teachers, and religious leaders. Although the majority of residents here are practicing Muslims, the community is deeply entrenched in tradition and culture. Maslaha is a Somali word which translates to reconciliation or peace offering. It is often used in Somali culture as a form of mediation to avoid public use of prosecution. But the issue remains, does maslaha apply in all cases, or does it impede with the judiciary process in criminal cases like rape?
For us, the people who comes from the northern and Somali, people who practice Somali culture, maslaha has helped us a lot in terms of dispute resolutions. It's an alternative dispute resolution mechanism. In terms of land disputes, if there is a conflict among clans, if there is, small offenses, it helps. But when it comes to rape and sexual offenses, maslaha does not help.
Kutumia simu haijakuwa kisheria kwamba ni makosa, lakini tunashirikiana kwa baraza, tumeongelesha wazee, kwa imamu tumekuwa na mkutano na maimamu hapa ni wengi, kusema kwamba waendelee na kuhubiri maadili mema kwa hawa vijana, kwa sababu mambo yale ya kuona hizo simu video mbaya mbaya ni mambo ambaye inahitaji mambo ya spiritual guidance, na hiyo tunaongea kwa baraza. Wazee tumeongelesha, wazazi wamekuwa hapo, wamesikia kwamba watoto waongeleshwe ili wasiendelee, na pia hata tumeambia wazazi si vizuri kununulia mtoto mchanga simu hiyo ya smartphone.
Fahmo Mohamed is here with us just to make sure that we get to understand this rape culture in different parts of the country. You better watch out for that documentary. Karibu sana.
Santi.
Welcome to the show.
But you're looking fab.
Thank you. Can I just do a twirl?
True to say, how first of all did you choose this story as a story of interest?
I actually did this story for breaking news. It was mid-Feb. A young girl was flown into Wilson, and I was sent on that story. And so then when I saw that girl and we followed her to hospital and she had to have reconstructive surgery, and she's only 15, imagine. So it was like, for me, it just hit close to home. Like, she's a part of my community. She's, only 15. Most of those girls are like, have gone through FGM one form or another, you get. So like a lot of that, like it just hit me, and I was just like, oh my God, does this really happen?
1 out of 3 girls in Nairobi, not in the country, in Nairobi. But then what are the figures looking like across the country?
So since 2008, 1 in 20 girls, not girls, women and children report rape in Kenya. But only 1 in 6 seek medical attention. So it's really sad, because if you think about it, we're not just talking about Nairobi, we're talking about all of Kenya. That's 1.9 cases out of every 100,000 are reported in Kenya. So like, if you look at the numbers, we have obviously a population of over 40 million. Like, you can see that a lot of cases aren't reported. And I think it is important that you guys address the issue between rape and defilement. I'm really addressing defilement a lot of the time.
You're focusing mostly on children.
Exactly.
Okay, and with statistics like the report by the Access to Justice said that 72.6% of sexual assault cases occurred in 2015, but only 5% of this are reported. Is it the same in Wajir?
Not necessarily. Actually, other than Nairobi, in most counties, rape or defilement is resolved through clan elders. And so this is what my story is addressing, this concept of maslaha. So in the Somali community, masla means peace offering or reconciliation. Essentially, it's when the clan elders come together and try and resolve an issue. So in the Somali community, they compensate the family of the victim and offer a said 4 cows for a girl's virginity. So you understand, in our culture, like, that girl is basically ruined. She can't get married. Who's going to marry her? She's not a virgin anymore.
I'm actually thinking about the stigma, more about the stigma.
Yes.
Because I'm trying to look at this girl in the village. You know that your parents were given 4 cows.
Yes.
And you're defiled. You see the person each and every single day. They have a wife who sits in the house and they're like, yeah, my husband defiled so-and-so, but then this is the justice that was passed. So do you feel like in the rural areas, people are being affected by this matter, but then they have like localized ways of solving issues? Is that the right way? And do you think the government should intervene?
Yes, definitely. The government should definitely intervene. But I think this is more like a cultural issue. It's not just in the Somali community. It's in communities all over, ethnic groups all over Kenya. Essentially, you know, they're resolving rape or defilement by compensating a family by cattle. Like, what is that going to do? And one, that cattle doesn't go to that young girl or young boy who has been defiled. So it's really, really shocking.
Let me ask you a question. There is an incident in Bumula. I know you haven't covered Bumula, but then it's said that most of these cases are in between like family members.
Within
like
the
you
home.
find an uncle has raped their niece or something like that, or an elderly person has raped someone else, you know, like a small child in the village. Do you think that we are domesticating all these things? We are just putting it in the background and not creating focus on what it can do to an individual and to the community that will rise as a result of that individual who's been defiled?
Yeah, definitely. In the cases that I have studied, the majority of those people who were raped or defiled were raped by someone they knew. So I'll give you an example. I interviewed a young girl who is 12 years old. She was defiled by her uncle. Another case of a 15-year-old girl who was gang raped. She knew one of the culprits, who was her neighbor, and the other boys were like his friends, I guess. So a lot of the time, these victims are defiled or they're raped by people that they know, with the exception of cosmopolitan areas like Nairobi. So in Kenya, actually, you know, all these numbers that we're talking about, if I can break it down so viewers can understand, since, I would say, 2006, rape has actually fluctuated in Kenya. So it has only risen in years of post-election violence, essentially. So from 2006, obviously, we had that post-election violence, 07, 08.
Was it rampant?
Yes. So it wasn't necessarily rampant. I would say fluctuation is the word. It fluctuated, it increased, but then it went back down. By 2012, it went back up again. And obviously, last year was an election year, it went back up.
So let me ask, do you think the political atmosphere is a big contributor to such a conducive environment for such a crime?
Yes, definitely. I think the issue is like, during a political year, we're so focused on politics that crime actually rises, even in, you know, cosmopolitan cities like Nairobi, but also throughout the counties, right? So, you know, what's happening to these victims? You know, outside of Nairobi, they're not being held accountable. Like, issues like rape and defilement are being thrown under the carpet and resolved through this concept of maslaha, right? And so that's kind of what I really, really try and tackle. I want the government to, like, intervene, and I want this process of maslaha to stop impeding the judiciary process. And a lot of these locals agree. A lot of them, unless they experience or know someone who has been raped or defiled, they don't necessarily stand up, right? But they want to. And now the town of Habaswein, where I went to, was my main case study, other than Garissa town. They essentially are really pushing the OCPD, admin police to rise up and start, you know, holding people accountable. They've even started night raids, and there is an 8 p.m. curfew for young girls.
Do you feel like there's enough awareness that's being created by the government? Do women or young people even know the different kinds of abuse that they can go through? Do you feel like this is something that needs to be brought out and create more awareness?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think people need to be aware, especially because in cases of defilement, you know, like the young girl I interviewed, it was so heartbreaking. She was crying. I didn't know what to do. I'm just like trying to set up audio equipment and things like that. It was just so difficult because I can understand what she's saying because she's speaking Somali. So until I translate for you what she's saying, you're not really understanding. But she still to this day doesn't understand what has actually happened to her. She's so young. She wasn't, you know, taught about sexual education or anything like that. So she wasn't mentally prepared. And a lot of times, you know, it's not just young girls. Young boys are being defiled as well. So I think the issue is we place so much focus on women.
Yes.
What about our children?
What about our children? Those answers are going to be achieved, or rather, we're just going to get to answer most of the questions tomorrow. What time is your documentary again?
8:30.
8:30. Kesho, make sure that you grab a chance to watch Veiled Pain, right? Asante sana. Thank you for creating time to be here with us.
Thank you, Fahmo.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Yeah, and of course, tunataka to make sure that each and every week ujue si celebrate msee mmoja hapa hivi Mdimbas, msee mmoja Mngori. Na this week tumechagua chali moja kutoka America. Actually, he's half German, half American. It's called J. Cole. Find out why.